Okay, so welcome back. In this part we're actually going to go ahead and create this top middle section of the case. Okay, so that should be actually a really simple bit to do, especially that we have, once we have had this base sort of shape done, as you notice, what we've been doing is getting bits off it and then extruding bits off it to go ahead and get these pieces to line up properly. So to everyone's surprise, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with that middle section. Now if we were a bit smarter, what we would have done is, before we added in all these extra edge loops for this case, we would have duplicated it before we've done that, moved it over and hid it away, and we would be getting the pieces of that. Whereas now that we already added in the edge loops, now we're going to go ahead and select all these little faces and so on, so it's a lot more pain. Okay, so keep that in mind next time, and I should keep it in mind, but I've forgotten as well. So but if you do something like this, it's always a good idea to go ahead and keep a mesh that's not added in all the supporting edges, so then you can go back and get the faces off it that you need. So instead I'm just going to go ahead and select all these faces that we need, like so. Okay, and what you can do is you can actually isolate your selection to make sure you don't have anything else selected. Okay, so I got everything that I need, and go to duplicate face, edit, delete all by type, history, get our outliner out, make sure we get these guys out of here, delete that node. Okay, and now we got this face that we need. So let's go ahead and center pivot. And now basically we can just go ahead and start extruding bits off it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and move it a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and firstly extrude this and go ahead and move it a little bit. Okay, so actually what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and move it all the way to the end where we need to. So if you have a look on our reference, it's roughly that long. Okay, so that's perfect, and we got that top panel done, basically, nearly. So now all we need to do is add in all these bits here. It shouldn't be too hard to do. And if I have a look properly, I think this is actually symmetrical. So let's go ahead and, to save some work, let's go ahead and delete one half of this. And let's go ahead and start working here. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is obviously add in these loops that we need. So you're going to need one here, and we're going to need a few across here to go ahead and start moving these verts about. So I'm just going to add one in probably every now and then, like so. And let's just go ahead and add one in there as well, and they should be fine, pretty much, hopefully. So let's go ahead and start moving these verts about. So what I'm going to do is, now here we need to be a little bit careful if you have a look. So we got these edges here to make sure that this will smooth properly. And we need to be really careful with what we do with these, because we don't really want to get rid of them, because what's going to happen is that these pieces are not going to line up. So we need to be pretty careful of what we move around and how we move them around. So probably our best bet would be is instead of going and moving these words around, probably our best bet would be to go ahead and extrude as we go along, maybe. Let's just have a look at this. So let's go ahead and turn on X-ray and start moving things around. So if you notice, and I start moving this down, okay, roughly where they need to be. You need to be pretty careful as you go along, because now we're pushing this edge, and as you can see, what we are actually doing is we are making a bulge in here. So that will cause us some issues. I mean, even though we will smooth it, we need to be very careful. So probably what we're going to do instead of this technique, we're going to go ahead and let's get rid of these edges. Okay. Delete edge. Let's go back into a side view, grab these verts, push this back. So let's go into our top view. What we're going to do is we're going to push this out to roughly here, okay, because that's straight. And then what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and not extrude the verts but the edges. So let's go ahead and find this edge, because remember we cut this in half. So let's select this, go back into a top view, extrude it. Okay, and if you notice, have a look, and basically this edge lines up perfectly with that corner that we need. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to go ahead and cut it out. So if you have a look, let's just show you properly. This guy here, it lines up pretty much perfectly to what we need. So if you make a cut, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's just go ahead and use our interactive split temporarily. You're going to start cutting here, not there. Okay, so if I just block this out like so, so you can see that's pretty much the shape that we need, and then we can go ahead and add in the rest of the bits. So let's go ahead and do the same thing on the bottom here. So use our interactive split again, and probably it would be easier if you went into our top view and we went ahead and deleted these guys. Let's just turn off X-ray for now. Okay, and let's go ahead and make a cut down here. We can actually go ahead and use our insert edge loop tool technique again. Well, we should have been able to, but it's too late now. So instead we're just going to use the interactive split. So let's go ahead and use this guy. And I'm not going to worry about it too much. Just going to make this cut. Okay, and let's go ahead and start cutting down. So this is straight, and we can always go ahead and we'll go ahead and move this wet. Just roughly, I want it at the right place. So this one's probably there somewhere, and that's it. So let's go ahead and get rid of these faces. Okay, so this is the shape that we need basically. Now let's go ahead and make sure that these verts line up that we just cut. So go into our top view, straighten these guys out like so. Then this guy is attempting to be this guy, I think. Let's just have a look. Okay, so we sort of want these to line up. Now if you have a look, this is at an angle, so we're just gonna vary about the bottom, because the bottom is not really gonna be seen, whereas the top is. So you're just gonna go ahead and select that axis, snap it there, select that axis, snap it there. Not there, but to this guy. Don't know why it wants to go there that much. And just undo it. Okay, there we go. Let's do the same thing with this guy. So again, I'm moving the bottom vert, not the top. Okay, so this is roughly the shape that we need. So make sure that everything, they're all quads, and let's just sort out this guy here as well. So select this guy, move that, move it, and the bloody thing is in the way. Okay. Okay, cool. So that's all lined up as well. So let's have a look in our top view and see what we have. So turn on X-ray. And again, we just need a an extra edge here to go ahead and move that guy down. So instead of adding a loop that goes down here, we sort of want a loop that goes this way. And the reason for that is because if we add one here, that will again change the curvature of this properly when we smooth it, and it won't perfectly line up with the top panel most likely. So we want to be sort of careful with what we do. So as you can see, this will want to go there, so we can give it a shot and see how much it changes the mesh. Hopefully it won't change it too much. Okay, so it still lines up pretty much fine, so we can get away with it. Whereas if it did change, because if you have a look, there was a massive gap between them faces. Okay, so this was a pretty big face, whereas if you look at the spacing between these, it's pretty small. So we could get away with adding one here. If we couldn't, we would have to sort of re-topologize this bit. But for this time being, we can get away with it, so it's perfect. So let's go ahead and turn on X-ray, move this guy. So we get a nicer curve, okay? And this is pretty much the shape that we need. So let's go ahead and move this guy down. Have a look in our side view, that looks good. Perspective. Done X-ray again. Have a look how that corner is moving in our top view. Okay, so this guy is smoothing out a little bit too much here. So let's go ahead and fix that by adding a loop. And it doesn't want to give me a loop, and that's because if we go ahead and go to our mesh cleanup. Mesh cleanup, where are you? There we go. Make sure you have these settings, hit cleanup, and as you can see, we got an n-gon here that we need to fix. So let's go ahead and fix this guy. So obviously that's because we've done this cut, so this cut needs to go down. We need to make a cut that goes down here and across. Okay, so this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides, and we need it to have 4 sides. So let's go ahead and fix that really quick. So let's go ahead and use our insert edge loop tool, and make sure that you select this edge, otherwise it won't work. So if you have a look, if I use it on this edge, it won't work because it's freaking out that this is an n-gon, so it doesn't want to go through it, and it's not going to go this way because we deleted them faces. Whereas if we add it to this edge, okay, it freaks out here because this is an n-gon, but it will go around this way because these are all quads. Okay, so just keep that in mind. If it doesn't work, it's because you're clicking on the wrong edge. So let's go ahead and use our interactive split to hook these guys up, and let me just turn up my magnet a little bit so it will snap to that wet. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the same thing here. And now, if we have a look, let me just close this as well, run our mesh cleanup again. As you can see, we got rid of that n-gon perfectly. So let's go have a look how this is smoothing now. This is still freaking out because of this long face. So let's go ahead and sort that out. Let's add a loop here, and that should help it quite a lot already. Now if we add in a loop here, as you can see, that's going to freak out because it wants to go around here because of that quad. So we're going to have to re-topologize this bit as well. Now we're not going to worry about that yet. Okay. The main shape is pretty much fine, so it's all good. Let's go ahead and add in another loop here just to break up this long face. Okay, and apart from that, that looks pretty good. So now let's go ahead and do this edge across here. So this is the same technique that we've done across the side here, okay? But this time we're doing it on the top. So what we want is an edge, again, going across here to save us, help us keep this shape. What we should probably do is fill in this hole And actually, we're already not exactly sure what happened. Oh yeah, this is the cut that we made. So let me just go back here and have a look. Okay, so what we've done here is we left this quad here instead of merging it across. If you merge this across, what we're going to end up with is a triangle. We might be able to get away with a triangle, but I don't really want to. We'll just keep it all quads. Okay, so instead we'll do it this way. You could merge this up here, so you'll have left with a triangle. That might give you some smoothing issues, it might not. It's up to you if you want to risk it or not. But for this tutorial's sake, we're just gonna do it this way. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and make this edge loop across here. So the first thing I'm gonna do again is add a loop going across here. That will give me that, and now the loop going across here. Okay, that's the first thing that we do. And yet it gives us all them edges that we don't need, but we don't worry about them for now. Let's go ahead and merge the vertex down here, and then we want to merge it across there. And now we have the edge loop across here that we need. You can go ahead and adjust these words later, or we could do it now, so it's not that close. Okay, now let's do the same thing on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to come down here, merge vertex tool, down and across. Okay, perfect. So now it's going to be really easy to go ahead and get rid of the edge loops that we don't need. So we don't need that guy anymore. We don't need that either. So you can just double click, delete edge, and it's gone. And we got our loop going across. Okay, so let's just make sure here as well that the spacing is somewhat nice. So I'm just going to select that invert. It probably won't make a difference in the world. So, but if you have a little bit of an OCD for this, then you'll move them as well. But you don't have to. It probably won't make any difference. Okay, so that looks pretty good. We got an edge loop going across there as well. We got an edge loop going down here. Let's just isolate this piece so you can have a look around it easier. Okay, so let's go ahead and add in this loop. And I'm just checking the time. I'm pretty much still good. So, okay, so that looks good. I think we're pretty much there. We should be able to go ahead and duplicate this over in a bit. But first, let's go ahead and fill this bit up. We should have probably done that before we added in the loops, but that's fine. Okay, so just select them, hit extrude, push it in. Roughly to the right place. We're going to merge them anyway, so don't worry about them too much. Okay, and this is going to be a little bit of a pain to do now that we already done these bits, but oh well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line these words up roughly. And do the same thing with this guy. Okay, so let's go ahead and fill this guy up. We could probably try fill mesh. Let's go ahead and do that. Mesh, fill hole, sorry. And then let's go ahead and try to cut this up. Probably it's going to be easier if you just get rid of these bloody supporting edges. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and now we only need to make these horizontal cuts. So get out our interactive split and start doing the cuts. Okay, so I just got rid of the edges so we don't have to make extra 2 cuts. Okay, let's go ahead and do the same thing here. Do the same thing here, and how many more do we have? Hopefully not many. Okay, that's good. Let's go ahead and, oops, not that one, to the corner. Sometimes the interactive split freaks out a little bit, but it should be fine for what we need. Okay, so we're nearly there, and we don't even need this. What even am I doing? Because we're going to go ahead and duplicate it over. Okay, so that's good. Let's go ahead and smooth this, see how it's looking. It's looking quite nice. Now we can go ahead and add in the loops that we gotten rid of. Add one in the center as well. Add one here as well to break up this long face, probably in the center as well. Smooth. That looks pretty good, apart from this guy here. Let's go ahead and fix this. Okay, and now if we smooth it, this should be fairly smooth. I actually might, let me just have a look in the top view. I might actually keep that guy smooth. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. Smooth it. And let's go ahead and move this guy. So we're going to go ahead and grab all of these verts. Oops. And just push it up a little bit. You could even rotate a little bit. Or just push it. Smooth. Okay, and that way we'll get a nice sort of corner, but we'll keep that a quad instead of a try. Okay, so that's great. Now we can go ahead and duplicate this guy over. So let's go ahead and do that. Duplicate. And before we do that, let's go ahead and, well, actually it won't make a difference. Well, it will. Let's go ahead and press insert on the keyboard to go ahead and snap the pivot there. Control D, and then this is going to be Z, I think. Yep, Z -1. Okay, and this way these guys will perfectly line up. Then go to Mesh, Combine. And then again, edit, delete all by type, history. Delete that node. Select the vert. Merge vertices with a small threshold, and if I've seen that correctly, that did a merge down here. So let's go ahead and select them again. Merge vertices, and just increase the offset a little bit. I mean the threshold. 0.2 doesn't do it either. Let's try 0.01. And now this started merging our supporting edges. So let me just go ahead and undo this. I don't want to. Okay, that's fine. So let's go ahead and delete this. Go back into side view. Select all these verts here and straighten them out. Okay, that was our issue. Now let's go ahead and select this guy again. Duplicate it over. Z -1. Select both of them, mesh combine, edit, delete all by type, history. Select these verts. And you could scale them together to line them up more. And then go to merge vertices, 0.01. And this should have merged them all together fine. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now we can go ahead and add in the loops that we missed out, such as this one on the bottom. Okay. And I think we're pretty much done. Let's go ahead and smooth it. That looks great. So let's go ahead and go into siding and make sure that this is the right length. Ooh, look at that. So close. So let's go ahead and select all these verts. Okay, so I'm back. Sorry about that again. For some reason my recorder is freaking out lately. Okay, so all we did is now I'm selecting all them verts and just pushing it back to where it's supposed to be. Only had to push it a tiny bit, okay? And now we have our top panel finished, okay? And pretty much, well, not finished, because we're gonna have to go ahead and do this top part that comes across here. But that shouldn't be too bad, and we can just go ahead and duplicate it over. Okay, so I'm just going to delete that node, and for this part we're all done, so I'll see you guys in the next part.